Well, hey folks, we announced the new record coming out. Comes out on, I believe, the 29th of November, something like that. That's not important. You can pre-order it now. That's the important thing. And it's called Blues because here's the deal. I was talking with Devin Ullman. This is a partnership we're doing on his label called Create Records. And he saw the band, saw what we were doing. He's like, we need to get you in front of more folks. And you know what? I don't have delusions of grandeur. I don't need 1 million. I just need enough, ladies and gentlemen. And things have been going good. But if we could level up a little bit, I'm down. I'm down with it. I'd love to get the music to more people's ears. I'm all about it. So he's like, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we think of a cool collaboration? So we had the idea of doing this record with special guests, a cool studio, and maybe dedicated to a certain artist that I've always loved. Maybe we'll talk about that later. And then we thought, well, in the meantime, how do we raise dough? Kind of a crowdfunding thing, but actually through the release of music. And so he's like, well, you've got a big catalog. I'm like, yeah, I got like 20 records out. He's like, well, why don't you pick 10 songs from the various records and we'll put that out and see what people think about that and use that to raise a little bit of dough to do this other thing. So I said, well, how about this? A lot of times people come up to the merch table, they look at all the different CDs and they say, which one of your CDs is the bluesiest? And then I'm always like, well, there's blues on all of them, but this one, that one, this one, and that one. Then I said to Devin, why don't we just do a blues release and I'll pick out the blues. And see, here's the thing. All the time that I've been releasing records going back 30 years, there's always been a big blues underbelly. But I've always felt compelled to change the forms a little bit, make them a little bit more adventurous. Because I'm like, the blues form has been certainly trod into the ground. Not that it still isn't refreshing and can be, hopefully, as evidenced by this record. But I thought maybe what I'll do is I'll actually go through all my records and pick out like the most 3-chord-ish blues songs in the entire arsenal. Because I'm always being a wise ass and, well, this got to have a bridge here and this has got to have this chord change here. So I narrowed it down to the most middle of the road, not middle of the road, that has strange connotations. I picked the simplest blues tunes in my arsenal that we've done over the years, whether they were some covers, some of my originals, literally narrowing it down to like 12-bar blues, maybe a couple of them deviate. We can do a version of Freddie King's The Stumble. That's got a couple extra chord changes in it. But for the most part, stuck with stuff that was real simple. And then on top of that, once he heard that stuff, he's like, this is great. Do you have any stuff that might be in the can that you haven't released that would fit with this stuff? It just so happens during COVID, I had the idea of, I've always been a big Muddy Waters fan. I saw him when I was 14 years old. I've always loved Muddy's band and Howlin' Wolf, the gang. But we had been doing a version of Can't Be Satisfied, and I changed the arrangement a little bit, made it a little bit more rock and roll. And then we do a version of You Can't Lose What You Ain't Never Had, which I added some extra little gristle to. And we had those recorded, and I sent those to Devin. He's like, shit, these are wicked. Let's do these as the singles, and we'll add them to this list of already previous released tunes. And then he thought, man, it'd be really cool if we could have you do like a duet with someone on Can't Be Satisfied. He goes, it's cool the way it is, but it'd be cool if we could have maybe someone like Larry McRae. I'm like, Larry's a buddy. That'd be awesome. So within moments, we kind of got it organized that Larry would do it. He recorded his stuff in Michigan at a studio of his choice, and then he sent the stuff to me and my buddy Steve Hamilton, and we put his parts and flew him in and edited this, that, and the next thing. And that is the first single that just came out. We did a little video for it down at the Blues Museum down in St. Louis, down by Devin there. Devin lives in St. Louis, in St. Charles, as a matter of fact. And so that's the first tune that we released as a single. And then the other tune, Can't Be Satisfied, Can't Lose What You Ain't Never Had. Devin heard that and heard the arrangement. He was like, man, it'd be really cool if we get Jimmy Hall to sing this one and then have the Memphis Horns play on it. I thought that'd be wicked. So within moments, he got on the phone, called me back and said, it's set, they're gonna do it. So then we put that stuff together. They sent us the parts. Me and my buddy Steve Hamilton at the studio went through it and put it all together. And lo and behold, those are the two unreleased tracks. But then as we were assembling the longer list of songs, my buddy Steve Hamilton, who I've recorded with for years, he had in the can a whole bunch of live stuff that we had done over the years. And one of them featured my buddy Junior Brantley, who was my mentor when I was coming up. And Junior was a great great keyboard player, singer. He was in a band locally here called Shortstop, but he was in the Fabulous Thunderbirds. He played a few gigs with Stevie Ray Vaughan. He was in Roomful of Blues, played in Jimmy Vaughan's band, the whole 9 yards. And so it was really cool to have him included on a version of a tune that we did, old Johnny Guitar Watson tune called Don't Change Horses in the Middle of the Stream, which of course Tower Power did, and Malford Milligan singing on that one. That was the other thing about this too, is that years ago I did this record called Live on the Radio, which had Malford Milligan singing, Roscoe Beck on bass, and so we were able to cull some of those tunes for this blues collection. Can you dig it? So what we've done, folks, is on my website at gregkoch.com, you can go there. We put together some packages, and some include some online lessons. And we priced them in such a way where I would get a little bit of a taste, but then most of the money would go into this kitty for this next record, because I haven't been offering lessons for a while on my website because I've been traveling so much. So they're priced accordingly, but all the proceeds for this record are going towards this next record. So when you go to the website and kind of peruse all the different packages, whether, we do signed, there's also signed and personalized, there's half-hour lesson plus CD, there's an hour lesson with CD and vinyl and t-shirt and all these different permutations. Just so you know, all this stuff is priced in such a fashion where it's equitably priced from what we have to pay for the actual merchandise, but also so that we could put towards all this money towards this next recording project, which we're going to get to as soon as we possibly can. In the meantime, you can check all the tour dates, because we're hitting the road pretty hard with the trio, which is still my son Dylan on drums and Toby Lee Marshall on organ and left-hand bass. And we're headed out on the road. Actually, our first gig, November 10th, is going to be in Woodstock, New York, and we do a little 2-week East Coast jaunt. So please check out that website for deets, gregkoch.com, gregkoch.com, and check it all out. And please pre-order the record. If you want to buy a lesson or just the CD will have more tunes on it than the vinyl. And the CD will also have tracks on it that will not be available digitally. That's just the way it turned out. So the digital release will be what's on the vinyl. The vinyl will be what it'll be, and on the actual CD itself, it'll have more tracks. So there you have it. I hope that all made sense. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Gregory Cochery here. In the orange layer.